Hi there. So today's video is mainly going to be centered around newer players to Dragon City, but it does also apply to any returning players or any players in general that just don't have too many resources on their accounts as of yet. But I wanted to discuss the heroic VIP dragons. So the heroic VIP dragons are dragons such as High Ascended Supreme, which are the heroic dragons which have a ton of skills with them, and these dragons, if you didn't know, are actually 500 orbs to summon. So for instance, if I try and find Voodoo Vampire, you'll see that in order to summon High Voodoo Vampire, we need to get 500 orbs of that dragon, which is significantly more than we normally have to get for a dragon. The reason why these dragons are 500 orbs is simply because they're intended to be pay only. So if you're a free-to-play player, you can't really be expecting to get these dragons unless you get quite lucky or you do tons and tons of trading. But specifically, newer players hear about these really overpowered, the best dragons in the game, because they are the best dragons in the game. They are the highest category dragons, they have tons of skills on them, and then some people, of course, if they pay, they have all the skill skins, which makes dragons like High Ascended Supreme absolutely disgustingly broken. But if we're talking non-skinned heroic VIPs, all of these heroic VIPs are still very good. High Occult Titan and High Void Eternal are probably on the lower end of the heroic VIPs, just because, like, High Occult Titan, he's still a good dragon, has a good primary, but his only bonus is a shield. High Void Eternal is, well, he's an Eternal dragon, so he just doesn't have as much going for him as some of the others. But dragons like High Corrupted Time, High Master Karma, Redemption Norn, and High Ascended Supreme, definitely you see them everywhere, especially in the current Wind Arena. Now, what I actually really want to discuss was for newer players that, you know, hear about these dragons and they go, okay, I want to get High Redemption Norn. I wanted to discuss why that's not really practical and probably isn't a very good idea. Because these dragons, they cost 500 orbs total for you to be able to summon them, and you're gonna be having to summon them unless you get very lucky in an event like the Eternal Day collection and you open up one of these Eternal chests and you manage to get one of these heroic dragons via sheer very insanely good luck, because you can get any of these heroic VIPs out of this chest, but the chance for each of them I think is about 1.6%, something like that for each. So your chances of getting these heroic VIPs are incredibly low. Don't be opening up these Eternal chests or other event chests and thinking that you're going to be getting these heroic VIPs. Chances are you're not. I know that some people get multiple heroic VIPs. It is just pure RNG. You can't change what you get out of these chests. It is just, that is what it is. So don't be expecting to get these dragons out of this chest. It's only going to be a certain percentage of the player base that's going to be getting these, and it's purely luck as to whether you get them or not. So luck is out of the cards for right now. Of course it's possible for everyone, but don't be expecting it. It's not a good idea. So the other methods that you can use to get the heroic VIPs are, of course, you could buy them if they ever become available in, like, the events panels. You know, we get offers for things all the times over here on the right hand side. Sometimes during events they become purchasable with gems, but right now the way that you would get these dragons is via trading. And this is the big problem with actually getting these heroic VIPs, especially as a new player, because you're gonna have to be relying on trading majority of the time. And if we search up Voodoo here, just because they're one of the dragons that I have a few orbs for, again, we need to get 500 orbs for this dragon. Technically, because of summoning Happy Hour, you only need to get 401 orbs of the dragon, and then you can use 99 heroic Joker orbs to finish summoning them. But you still need to get over 400 orbs for this heroic VIP that you're going for, and that's just for one of them. So if we were to try and trade with someone for High Voodoo Vampire, we'd request High Voodoo Vampire. Per trade, that is 5 orbs that you'll be getting and giving. But not only do we have an issue with what we'd actually be trading, we also have the big problem of essence. And I cannot stress enough how much of a problem essence actually is when it comes to heroics. Because, like, I have not spent well, I think I've done one singular trade for heroics, and that is it since High Destiny's race. And you'll see that right now I'm still only sitting at 90 heroic trade essence. Now, if we do actually try and work out how much essence you'll need, we can do it actively on the calculator. You know, we need 405 orbs realistically is what we'd need. So 405, and per trade we're getting 5, so divide by 5. That's 81 trades that we would have to do in order, if they were all including a trade for this heroic VIP dragon, that's 81 trades. The only thing is, when you're doing these trades, the one that starts the trade, it costs 2 essence. The one receiving the trade is 1 essence, which means that if you are starting all of these trades, it could actually cost you up to 162 heroic trade essence to get 405 orbs of a heroic VIP to then be able to summon it during a summon happy hour. So you don't even have the dragon at that point. You still need the Joker orbs for it as well. That's 162 heroic trade essence, and the only time you're getting heroic trade essence is from other events, so it's going to take you a very long time to get that much. It's going to be somewhere between probably about 100 trade essence, and between 100 trade essence and 162 trade essence is how much you're going to need, because what you'd normally do with someone is you start the first trade, they start the second trade, you start the trade, they start the next one, and that way you share the essence. So it's going to be somewhere around the 100 to 162 mark, roughly between there. And then the other big problem, which I've not even gone into yet, is what do you trade them? Realistically speaking, if you request something like High Voodoo Vampire, the other person is going to want a heroic VIP. They're going to want something equal for the trade. The only thing that's going to be equal to trade for another heroic VIP is going to be heroic VIPs. So one example that I can actually bring up, because I actually have some orbs, is High Occult Titan. The problem is High Occult Titan was recently made available in the heroic race, so a lot of people would be iffy to give heroic VIP dragons for High Occult Titan, but it's still technically speaking a relatively equal trade. But a lot of people would, instead of rather wanting to trade High Occult Titan, they would probably want one of the others like High Redemption Norn, High Ascended Supreme, High Master Karma, maybe High Void Eternal. You're probably not going to be getting trades for High Occult Titan with a lot of players. They're going to be wanting one of the others to trade back with you. So then you're going to need to have a supply of heroic VIP orbs to actually trade away, which is the big problem because you probably don't have any if you're a new player. So that goes out the window. The only other option that you really have is unfortunately going to be doing ratio trades. And, you know, people post about their trades in different servers all the time. Like, we've got a trading channel in my Discord server, for instance, and people will say, like, they're looking for, you know, High Voodoo Vampire, and they can give some other stuff out. So, you know, you'd have to be making trade posts, approaching people that are posting about trading these dragons. But the thing is, if you're going to be trading regular heroics for heroic VIP, you're going to have to be doing ratio trades for those in 99% of cases, because that's the only way that you're going to make it fair. Because why are you bringing up an offer game? Go away. Of course, it's offering me heroic trade essence. It knows what people want. And just look at that. The price that they put on it for 10 heroic trade essence is £2.49. So multiply that by how much you'd actually need to get like 160 heroic trade essence. It is nuts the amount of cost that they put on this. Of course, we're going to be denying that. But if you want to be trading regular heroics for High Voodoo Vampire, this is going to complicate it even more, because like getting orbs for say High Nucleus, or even a good one, like if we say, I don't know, High Treasure, like if we look for High Treasure, lots of people look for High Treasure. They also look for Drowsy as well, because High Drowsy is considered quite a good heroic VIP. Not heroic VIP, a regular VIP. Why do I keep saying VIP? I mean to say heroic. Anyway, I'm sure you get what I mean. A regular heroic dragon for a heroic VIP, you're usually going to have to do ratio trades. And what I mean by that is for every single trade of like High Voodoo Vampire, you might have to trade them 2 lots of High Treasure. And in that case, you're going to have to be spending even more heroic trade essence, because then you're going to be having to do more heroic trades to be able to do the ratio trade side. So you might even end up having to like multiply this by like 1.5 times, it might end up being something like 200 trade essence, 240 trade essence that you need total to be able to get these trades done. So it gets crazy in the amount of resources that you actually need to make this practical and actually get even a single heroic VIP. And that's just one heroic VIP. That's not even empowering them. That's just to get the dragon itself. And you'll still need to summon it during the summoning happy hour with Joker orbs. So there is so much that goes into getting these heroic VIPs if you're free to play and you're not just buying them outright. You know, I've seen tons of people before, however, you know, when they're going to trade heroics, they might do it at a ratio of 1 to 2. They might even do it at a ratio of 1 to 3. And some people will accept these trades. You can find them, but it's not going to be good for your heroic trade essence amount. And so that's why a lot of people don't even look for ratio trades, because it's such a waste of heroic trade essence. This part alone, the actual trading aspect, what I see a lot of new players do is they will trade off some of their orbs to start with, and maybe they'll get a supply of, well, it'll be similar to my current Voodoo. Like Voodoo, you'll see currently I have 75 orbs. I actually got those from the Higher Cult Titan race because I knew I was getting Higher Cult Titan. So I just took the Higher Cult Titan trades and I got myself High Voodoo from it. Well, some of them anyway. The problem is I see a lot of new players, they'll waste 100% of their essence and their orbs on getting like 70 orbs for a heroic VIP. But then they've got nothing else to do, because then they've got 0 trade essence left, they've got no other valuable orbs to give, and now they just can't do anything with it. There you go, you've made 1/5, not even, of the progress towards actually getting the dragon. Let's count it 1/4 if we're going for you know, just the summoning during summoning happy hour, but you're like a quarter of the way there, not even. And you've wasted all of your essence, you've wasted all of your orbs, and there you go, you're barely even there. And this is the big fundamental problem with it, because it's all fine and dandy wanting the best dragons in the game, and realistically they should be an end game goal, of course, because they're going to be the best dragons for Arena, they're going to be the best dragons for League, so of course everyone wants them, they're the best dragons in the game. But unless you are a spender, I cannot stress enough how unrealistic it is to actually trade for these dragons unless you've been playing for a very long time. And by very long time, I mean over a year. Like, you would have to have been playing for a long time, have lots of orbs to give, have lots of heroic trade essence. That's roughly where I would expect most to start being able to trade for these, roughly a year. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. But, you know, after maybe 6 months even, you could possibly do it if you've been hard grinding lots of events and they get really nice with giving them out in collection events. But I don't really see it being very practical for majority of free-to-play players to trade for these dragons. Now, that does not mean that it is impossible. Of course, we know of people that have done it, plenty of people that have done it, but I will just make sure that you know that the players that are getting these heroic VIPs are usually people that are good friends with the people that are giving out the orbs. So they're getting very, very good trades. They're doing 1-for-1 trades, heroic VIPs for regular heroics. It's not fair to that other person that they're doing this, but when you're friends with someone, you know someone really well, maybe some people want to be generous because they spend a lot and they have money to spare. Sometimes you will find some generous DC users, but that is not the normal case for the majority of players, and it probably won't be the case for you unless you get really, really well in someone's, like, you become really good friends with someone that's being really nice to you. You're probably not going to be doing 1-to-1 trades with heroic VIPs for normal ones, so it's just not going to be happening for you. So keep all of that in mind. If you hear other people doing these trades, do not assume that it is going to work for you, because it probably won't. I would love for everyone to be able to get all the heroic VIPs, but you have to be practical about it. Rather than worrying about heroic VIPs all the time, well, you don't need heroic VIPs to do well in the game. Like, there are tons of heroics in the game, and there's tons of legendary VIPs too, but just think about it. Rather than worrying about getting all of these resources, wasting so many resources for all these dragons, instead you can focus on getting other heroics and actually empowering them. And so all the time that you waste trying to get a single dragon and then still wasting jokers on it, you could have an E3, E4 regular heroic by that time, which will be much stronger than just having the heroic. So, I don't know. I think it's just a lot of waste early on. Of course, if you've been playing a while, you've got tons of heroics anyway, tons of legendary VIPs, you've got tons of resources, then is a good time to start thinking about trading for dragons like High Corrupted Time and the others, High Master Karma, because they are just good dragons. But like the 2 heroic VIPs that I've got, I have High Occult Titan, which I got from the race, and I got High Ascended Supreme by getting insanely lucky. There was nothing else to it, that was it. I just got insanely lucky from the Eternal Insignias chest, but I am not going to tell you that you should expect to get this dragon out of the chest yourself, because it's probably not going to happen. Now, if you do have tons of these heroic VIPs for free, you are very lucky. Count your lucky stars, maybe buy a lottery ticket, but don't be misleading new players thinking that they can get their hands on these meant to be paid-only dragons, really. And I say that knowing that trading exists, but they are fundamentally released with the expectation that they will be paid for to get them. So keep all of that in mind. Of course, there are a couple of ways that you can get them outside of pure spending, but it's normally very luck-based or a lot of resources. So that's why I wanted to go through those today. And just very quickly, yes, skins do change who the best heroic VIPs are. It's normally High Ascended Supreme and Norn that are considered the best dragons with skins. Usually, not always, and it depends on the actual arena that we're talking about. High Master Karma is one that tons of people go for because it's a Karma. It is painful, and lots of people won't fight you in the arena if they see one because they're just not going to mess with, you know, the whole blocking thing. Which I think is smart. Usually if you see a level 70 High Master Karma, it is better to avoid it if you can. Can't always, because sometimes you'll run out of resets in the arena, but if you can avoid fighting one, they generally will. So High Master Karma is another good pickup just to intimidate them. But any of these heroic VIP dragons, if you are free to play especially, are just, even if you're not, even if you're paid, these are just good options to go with if you manage to get them. Which is a big if. Even High Occult Titan, if you got him from the race, he's still going to be better than most, you know, just default heroics, especially if he's got a set of elements that you need. He's still a very good dragon. He's a heroic with a shield. It's like all your other heroics, but he has a shield. Like, what's not to love? But, you know, I guess keeping all of that in mind, I know that players are still going to try and trade for them. It's just if you're a newer player, or a player that's returned, you don't have too many resources, I think you'll be better off spending your time focusing elsewhere for the short term. Maybe you can still save up all of your heroic trade essence and your food, maybe some of it in case you get one luckily from the chest, but don't be banking on it. And it's a long-term goal to get these heroic VIPs, not a short-term one, unless you spend, in which case, you know, Mr. Credit Card does very good work. But they are the best dragons in the game, no one's denying that, but just be realistic about what you can achieve. There's nothing wrong with using regular heroics and legends if you don't have any other options. You can still do very, very well in this game and do very well in arenas without heroic VIPs. I mean, like, we're in Master 2 and we have easy work of all these enemies, really. Like, these enemies, we can win this fight quite easily, especially with High Nest. Just High Nest and Sinful Vampire alone can make good work of this. Of course, I'd ideally have another dragon as well to help us out, but even just having regular dragons, if they're level 70, you will win most of your fights. Unless you want to, like, fight for top 10 in Masters 3, which that's going to be a pain. But other than that, getting to Masters 3, you will not have a problem, usually, with level 70 dragons, so just bear all of that in mind. Don't try and overcomplicate it. Don't aim for more than you need to. Like, these players, they can do whatever the heck they want with their dragons, but it's not about everyone else. It's about how well you can do. And in Masters, you'll see that the enemies are like level 60s, level 50s, a couple of level 70s until you get to Master 3. You'll start seeing more of them, but you can usually just skip those and find some lower level players anyway. Like, I play Masters Arena all the time, and even with a couple of dragons, it's usually smooth sailing. But anyway, I hope that that gave you some insight into these heroic VIPs and generally how they're viewed. Again, pick up any of these, you'll have a good team member, but you have to just, well, you need to get them first.